Welcome to the Checkered Shorts Podcast, a podcast of three fraternity brothers reconnected by their love of IndyCar. Join us for grid-rival IndyCar fantasy talk, predictions for upcoming races, and reactions to race day results and all things IndyCar. Let's go racing! All right, and welcome to Checkered Shorts Podcast, podcast where we talk about all things IndyCar in short form format. We're on location for a couple folks here. Destination vacation for Mr. Dinwiddie and Mr. Kelly, so you can hear some waves and see some sunshine in the background. I'm here in rainy, cold southern Indiana, looking out the window at this view. A little jealous today, but I'm glad you guys took the time to join us. I hope you guys were able to get good connection with the race, although we all had a little bit of a disruption during the race, which is something I'm sure we'll probably hit on. But each of you guys, why don't you give us a little bit of introduction of where you're at and how you're joining us remotely.
Well, Dinwiddie needs to go first. He's way cooler than I am. Brian, have it.
So since Pat showed where he's at, I am in the beautiful Caribbean, celebrating 25 wonderful years of marriage with my wife.
That's awesome.
In Jamaica. So, Yaman, as they say down here a lot. It's beautiful and glad to be here. But as you talked about the race today, you can't get Fox in Jamaica. So I pulled up the old IndyCar app and got to listen to Mark and Nick and Track Dude and the boys do their thing. So a little different perspective than probably what you guys have from the TV viewership today.
And let's make sure we take a moment to congratulate Brian, right. Number one, for finding someone, that would step up to the challenge of marrying him and signing that license. Yeah. And then 25 years, it's pretty impressive, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Not quite there, but this was the spring break before it. So
made sense.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm in Cape San Blas, Florida. Couple hours east of PCB type of thing, so still in the Panhandle, a little quaint community, but there are no high rises, been coming here with the in-laws and my wife's sister, her family, so it's good to be down here having fun with the family, and got to watch the race on the beach, so at least some of it. Until Fox pulled the plug on it or whatever happened.
No, so I've been lucky enough to vacation down there before, Pat. You are going to hit up Indian Pass Raw Bar, right?
Oh yeah. It's one of the favorites. We're going to Long Bills today. Coneheads is my favorite, but it was closed. I think they're remodeling or something. So Raw Bar is definitely on it. We go to Joe Mama's, all that other good stuff. So this place is cool down here. It's not the hoopla type PCB or Daytona or anything like that. So it's nice.
Right. Sounds like a good, relaxing week for the both of you. Now, if we turn back to the action of the race, there were some moments that they weren't quite relaxing for some of the guys on the track, I would doubt. So give your thoughts on the racing today, what I thought was a really clean road race and with a lot of good competition in certain aspects and certain points of the race.
Yeah, I think my first take was the good real racing that you typically don't see on road courses. I mean, I've mentioned how I think road courses are usually just a boat race for a driver or two. It was cool to see somebody come back towards the last 15, 10-ish laps or whatever Pelot did. Side by side with Lundgaard and Pelot there earlier in that Pelot's stint was awesome. So I think there was, from my aspect, and I think a lot of it was because of Fox's coverage, was showing that really good racing. And man, I want to see thermal again. I was a little bit shocked that there wasn't a few more spin outs just because of a dust flare up or just getting some slick spots because of dust or sand on some of those turns. Not one yellow, pretty crazy, but It shows again. I think we talked about just the athletes these guys are to keep these wheels going, straight forward. That was my off take of it.
So there wasn't a bunch of back and forth at the front of the pack, right? I mean,
No, right?
Pato led 51 to 65 laps, but throughout, as you moved back the pack, there were some really good jockeying for position and battles throughout the race. And
Yep.
one of those I thought was when Will Power had a period of time where he just made up a ton of ground, passing driver after driver. And I don't know if that was a situation where he was on a certain tire strategy that gave him the juice, but man, he was like guys were standing still for a period of time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think two things kind of stood out to me, and you guys both touched on it. One, I do think that's what it was, Keith. We talked at St. Pete. That difference between the primary and alternate tire was just too big, was too wide.
Yep.
And I think IndyCar got it, or Firestone got it right today. You wanted a difference, but not so big. And what you saw there at the end was Power was on those red alternate tires, and he was able to move his way up through some of those guys. And Pelot was on the red tires as well. So after that last pit stop, he was able to, really track down, because I think Pato had a 10 second lead at one point there. And then he went from 10 seconds down to 10 seconds up in those last, 12, 15 laps. So that was pretty impressive. And then the second thing, Pat, you talked about, the on-course action and there not being any yellows. I think the hybrid can be part to blame there, is because they can restart them. At the beginning of the race, you had several cars in those first couple laps that went off track and threw that dust up and spun out. But because they were able to refire, and the length of the track being a 3-mile track, they were able to get it going again and
good point.
And settled in. And I think if we'd have had some yellows, we probably would have had more of that spin out, because the side by side is what was causing that. Guys, especially guys at the back that don't really know exactly what they're doing and don't have good control of their cars.
Good point. Great point. I loved, it was commercial break. I was watching it with my brother-in-law on the iPad, and Pelot was down 10 seconds to Pato. And when the commercial got over, it was 2 seconds, until he caught him. I was like, He's like, what? But then I got worried, not worried necessarily, but I was like, okay, can Pelot hold on to this? Because he's on the red tires, Pato's on the black tires. Let's see what happens. But once he passed him, I was like, well, Pelot is probably gone. And so really interesting between those two deltas. Did Power or did Pato, was it that bad? It seemed like it shouldn't have been. It should have caught up at some point, because he still had 10 laps.
Well, but it's also how you ran up to a 30-second plus lead to start, because he was on the brand new reds to start the race. And so if you look at it, it looks like the theme was the brand new reds had a little more juice in them, if it stick, and you could hit those corners a little tighter, a little faster. And it's just a matter of, Pato said at the end of the race, it kind of took a gamble thinking, we won't know exactly what's going to happen on the deg on these tires with the 40-degree temperature difference from the morning when they were out to the afternoon. And then, it's a gamble or a strategy that didn't pay off, because it led them all the laps, 51 out of 65 laps, but couldn't close it out at the end.
I mean, great for the sport, right? The two, number 1, number 2, shooting it out there. I wish it would have came down a little bit more wire to wire, but I thought, I want to see him go back to thermal after watching that racing. I really do. And I want to see 4 boxes on my TV of these battles.
Yeah, I think we have to talk, though, about the fact that here we are again talking about Alex Pelot in the winner's circle. Start off the year 2 in a row. I'm trying to think as I was listening to the broadcast. I think Dixon was the last one that won 2 in a row to start the season. I think 2020 he won the first 3, and then won on the championship. It's going to be really tough giving Alex this kind of a start to the year to beat him now.
Incredible.
And then we're talking 3 out of 4, and And I'll give Davey Hamilton credit on the radio today. He said, he and Mark James were talking about it, that this is reminiscent. If you go back to when Sam Hornish was running in the series, and that everybody was just fighting for second, when it came to the championship, it came to winning races. I mean, we're talking 15, 20 years ago type of stuff here that's happening. So
Yep.
just really awesome performance by Pelot. Once again, like, he just lays in the weeds, and then when it's time to go,
Well,
he
it
takes
was
off and heads to the front.
it was a strategy. I mean, it was strategy. Again, yes, he earned to be there, but that was off strategy to the rest of the crews. And I mean, he laid it down once he got on those red tires. It's pretty incredible.
You could hear Pato and Lundgaard's frustration too in the post race interviews.
Yep.
They had this great day, and as a team, they had a great day, and you could
Yep.
just feel how dejected they were
Yep.
because they felt like they probably did all they could, and the teams did all they could, and then here
Right.
they are still looking at the back
Right.
of Pelot, and that's got to be frustrating. I
Yep.
text Brian and I said, I don't have it in me to hate the guy because there's nothing about him to hate, but I also can't.
Right.
I can't pull for the guy, so it's like he's a no.
Yep.
I would like for him to be the best villain of racing, but
Yep.
he's not the villain.
Yep.
But he can't be my hero either for some reason. So I don't know uh,
Yeah.
where I am at with Pelot.
Yeah, he's too nice, right? He's too
Right.
nice to get mad at him.
And I mean, just selfishly, you want to see a mix up in the sport. You want to see, I mean, you don't want to see Tom Brady win it all the time. You don't want to see anybody win it all the time. It's not like below, you can't hate the guy, obviously, but you just want to see a little mix up. And yeah, but I mean, that damn team, pretty hard to beat right now.
I'm going to talk about
Yeah, but
someone
a
that was
shout out.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
Go
Brian.
ahead. No, you go for it, Pete.
I was going to say, mention somebody that was a little disappointing, and sometimes for whatever reason, I like to cheer against this guy. And I think it started last year whenever he was rooting against the Pacers and for the Knicks in the playoff. So to see Scotty Mack have a bad day, I wasn't too upset, but it's certainly disappointing to see him have that kind of finish because he ought to perform better than that.
Yeah, he got tangled up in the back there early on. I like Scotty Mack because he, I mean, just says the word mate, and I think that's cool. I wish I could intertwine that in my vocabulary, but just really not a great day for Penske. Power did finish sixth somehow. I mean, by force, just wheeled his way literally to the front. So, Scotty Mack, tough day for him for sure. Who else? Anybody stands out? I mean, you guys should. I'm looking at it. Anybody
Oh, as
stands
far
out
as
to you
disappointment,
guys? Or disappointment, or like, hey, kudos, good job.
I mean, we mentioned it last week, but Foyt again, just
Yep.
like, if they're going to take a step forward this year, they're not doing it. Malukas has really been disappointing, I think, for me. I expected a lot more today out of Malukas, especially had a decent starting position, but just kind of fell throughout the day. I was kind of disappointed there.
I thought about him earlier this week. Just like, man, he had a good gig, right? I mean, arguably top three. I mean, top third team, if not, Andretti, them go back and forth and craft the bed with hurting his hand or whatever. But yeah, you're right. Hasn't done anything in this team yet. Keith, anybody stands out high or low, like good or bad?
Well, I kind of look at this guy as like the goober of IndyCar racing, but he performed pretty well today. I thought Rahal had a decent day.
Yep.
That's a good point. What did he finish? 11th?
I think he
11th.
finished
I know he was
11th.
running in the top 10. I think Scott got him right there at the line.
That's a good. I mean, that's a good finish for him, man. I watched all the practices, and he's like, "This car won't go fast. Like, it's terrible." Like listening to his audio, and to finish an 11th, pretty damn good. I would think he'd be. I think he'd be tickled to death with that. I think Rossi finished 9th again. Good for ECR.
But
Again,
faltered there at the end, though.
yes,
Right?
he
was
did.
running fifth or sixth most of the race.
Sixth. But I think making progress on that team is good. It's good to see Rossi up there. Who else? Connor Daly was 10th at one point. So he finished 16th. I'm sure that's when the TV broke, broadcast broke. So I don't know how it all went down, but Armstrong 7th, I think, is pretty strong.
I think Rosie's had a good start to the season. 2 weeks in, he's running solid. And then Herta finished 4th today, despite when I we said we were going to bring this out, but the Pat Kelly shit pit of the week. So you watch the pit crews, you watch the teams, they do make a difference in the outcome. And there were a couple situations and issues that happened on pit road today. Rossi, they didn't get a gun out of the way and ran over top of it. They were discussing on the broadcast whether or not that could be an issued penalty, but because it wasn't dangerous or caused any damage or issues, it wasn't. I think he saw Colton Herta again just kind of fumbled the bag and run a couple seconds longer than every other pit crew on the course today.
And we talked our pre-production talk. We talked about this, and Herta just Dinwiddie said it. What'd you say, Dinwiddie? Like always finds a way to mess it up or something.
Something always happens. Whether it's his fault, the crew's fault, something always happens to Colton. He just kind of snake pit.
Yeah. So shit pit award goes to Colton Herta again. Should have got it last week. We earned the first race. So out of 2 weeks in a row, he deserves it.
Yeah. I don't think we've mentioned yet, though, when we think about guys, kind of surprises or impressed today, Lundgaard. But, I mean, he ran up there in the top 2, qualified on the front row, and just ran a really, really solid race today. The guy can wheel it, especially on road courses. He is a darn good race driver.
Yeah,
and he proved it today.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes. You got 3rd. Let's see if he can keep producing this for the next few weeks. Kirkwood was 8th, respectable.
Yeah. That's another one that fell back toward the end of the race, though, because he was running. He and Herta were running 4th, 5th most of the race.
Rasmussen was 12th. I mean, holy crap for ECR. Holy smokes.
And that's with an overheating hybrid, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he had to spend some time in the pits, kind of looking at that. So for him to come bounce back to get a 12th, I think ECR's off to a good start.
No, that's huge for ECR, right?
Generally, I can't keep tabs on all the quals and all the practices, but I've had a pretty open Friday through Sunday this weekend. So I watched quite a bit, and Lundgaard basically just showed out from day one.
Yeah.
And, you almost even got the sense that it lit a little bit of fire under Pato's team. We're supposed to be the lead driver on this team, and Lundgaard's out here showing everybody up on the racetrack. And then you come out to the qualifying, and whatever had to be done was done in that short window of time to set Pato's car up to where he felt very confident running in the Fast 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely made a switch between P1 and P2, or
correct.
Q1 and Q2. Yeah.
No, I think I don't think Pato. I could be totally wrong. I don't think Pato did that well in P1 in practice one.
No.
I think you got to throw Newgarden in there too today. This whole weekend, he didn't impress. And for a guy that came out as strong as he did in St. Pete, we know kind of what his reputation is and what his history is. He just didn't have it here at Thermal today this week.
It's a different course, and that's kind of why I liked it. And listening to all the other podcasts I listen to on IndyCar, it sounds like Thermal's going away, not without a doubt, but pretty much without a doubt next season, especially with the Dallas getting picked up. So, but after today's, man, I thought that was just really good. I thought that was really good racing.
Well, I thought Thermal made for great TV. Event-wise, I don't know. I don't know how much IndyCar puts into that kind of stock. I think that generates a buzz whenever you have the event, and you got even just watching the pre-race where people are walking up, through the entry gates and filling the stands, and obviously they could only have so many folks there. I think at one point we mentioned maybe 5,000 people in attendance there. But yeah, as an event goes for TV, kind of made for TV, it's wide open. You don't have to worry about probably much issue trying to get clearance for your drones and get your shots and get everything going on.
Yep.
But then also being isolated, maybe that's how you run into a problem like with the power dropping on you and losing about 13 to 15 laps or so of airtime.
It
I'm
was
watching
Dinwiddie.
NASCAR.
Yeah, Dinwiddie. It was odd. Like, I think it was on a commercial, and then all of a sudden, it's goes to NASCAR. I'm like, holy hell, what did I do? I'm literally watching it at the beach. So maybe I figured, like, I hit the button on the iPad or something. And then Mike Joy, love Mike Joy, by the way, mentioned that, technical difficulties. And then the three of us were chatting it up. But,
Well, that's why I didn't know, because I don't know because of where I am, my remote location.
right.
I was pulling up the radio broadcast that went out, and it was about out a very similar amount of time. So I don't know if the power cut that as well, or if
It was
others
my,
didn't get to have the radio as well. Because I
yeah,
would
I
lose it
mean,
from time to time just because of where I am. But I lost it for a significant amount of time, kind of in that same time frame.
conspiracy theory, right? Okay, kind of a boring race. Pull the plug, get all these NASCAR fans. Okay, oh, here comes a Ward. Here comes Pillow. Ratings probably ticked up with just throwing it out there. No,
Yeah.
I was a little bit frustrated there but all ended well for sure.
But that
Hey,
does
I'll throw it out to
always
you
show
guys.
that you can go
Yeah.
back to depending on the app because the app is quality, man.
Yes.
The
Oh
You
apps
can
no.
did the
listen
app did a
to
nice job.
IndyCar radio through the app.
Yep. It's
You can
perfect.
watch the leaderboard, watch the track action. Um, I I've really enjoyed the level of content that's provided through the app.
It was
Hey,
huge.
we talk a
Jennifer.
lot about new listeners or new fans.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, our friend Mad Dog texts me because he said, I just got home. I'm trying to find the race. He goes, it's not on TV. So, like, once again, come to a race, start watching
Yeah.
races.
Good
You'll
point.
become a fan. Keith did. We got
Mhm.
other friends now that really have jumped in on this IndyCar train because it's an amazing sport. It's the fastest racing on the planet. Um,
Yep.
join us on this journey.
To that point, to the app point, I did jump on the app and I showed my wife. It was on my phone. Showed the wife. She was like, "It looks like an old arcade game." I was like, "It does, but it gives you all of the information, and you can
Mhm.
watch when this was right before they broke back onto TV. But I was watching the back of Loonguard's race car when Polo passed him, like live on
Mm.
TV from Loonguard's race car. Super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see it side by side when you're watching the race and you're on the app doing both things. It's pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
that app is pretty badass.
Yeah, you can watch the onboard cameras of each car and switch
Yes,
back and forth at your leisure.
so
So,
sick,
if you want to really check out where the action's at, you can follow along with the TV and, kind of
Yep,
select those race cars and watch what's happening as if you're right there in the cockpit. So,
yep,
pretty
it
cool.
was awesome.
Want to thank you guys for taking the time out. With it being race week and with us having to set for so many weeks between week 1 and week
Yep,
2, we thought it was
yep.
important to have a race reaction. We are going to forego our episode 10, our second episode of the week this week, so that boys can enjoy their vacation. But we are going to roll back and rewind and check out our interview with Elliot Cox Racing again. That was a great episode, and we got some traction with that episode. But for those of
Mm-hmm.
you guys that didn't take the time to see it, you learn a lot of inside information, how you come up through the ranks of kart racing, and then not every guy sitting behind that steering wheel, sitting in that cockpit, um, uh,
Yeah,
was born into a
right,
cart. Some of them
right.
work their ways from the very bottom up to the upper echelon, and that's what we're trying to do to support our boy Elliot Cox.
I saw him last week, just through some media stuff that him and I are trying to work on. And again, he almost broke my hand, shaking my hand. But just still, I was asking him how it's going. He's like, it's going. Needs some work. So help the kid out, man. You don't have to be on the barrel of his car with the sponsorship. But if you want a little, on the nose or on the wing, something like that, the kid is worth it. If for nothing else, he's a good kid, good family, and he'll make it worth it for you. I promise you that. So, cool. Shout out to Will Plummer. I texted him. He's on one of the racing teams. I texted him because he's a thermal, and I said, "Hey man, can you give me a hat? Because you can't get them online." So he went to the gift shop, sent me a picture of hats. I said, "I want this one." Then I said, "All right, give me 2." And then I said, "Actually, can you return this one? I want the other one." So he was not happy with me, but he got me 2 solid hats from Thermal Club. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
I also want to say the build up for the Indianapolis 500 and IndyCar in general is coming. I walked into my own local grocery store, picked up my case of Miller Lite with the Indy 500 on the side. So displays are up and energy is high. And so I hope that we build a lot of momentum leading up to the biggest spectacle in racing.
Let's go. Today helped with those 2, man. I wish it was like 3 or 5 with those below an award towards the end, but hey, we'll take it, man.
Hey, and by the way, IndyCar, the IndyCar.com shop just dropped the driver jerseys, and they're actually reasonably priced. So
correct.
I picked mine up for this year. I'll keep that as a surprise until you two see me. So
and they have them all. It's not.
Well, I hope Scotty Mack finishes higher so you can wear that jersey with pride.
They have them all, from the low guy who they typically they don't typically have a Rasmussen type of guy, but they have a lot of those dudes. So worth mentioning, we'll have our top 10s updated too, right? Our power rankings.
Yes, power rankings. We'll get those out
those
to
two
you.
had theirs. I did not have mine.
Right.
So yeah,
he's still trying to figure out how to get Will Power into the top 10.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, he was the mover today. He was the on track mover today.
Sure.
He did work.
Yep.
All right. Well, we thank you again for joining us on Checkered Shorts, episode 9. And boys, enjoy the rest of your vacations. And Brian, congratulations on 25 years of marriage to wonderful Angie Dinwiddie.
That's right.
There we go. Thank you, sir.
See y'all.
All right. Bye.